My name is Mark Monlux, and this is another episode of Epic Sketch Time. I'm a freelance illustrator living in Tacoma, Washington. Epic Sketch Time is typically held every Monday at 4:30 p.m. And you're welcome to join us wherever you are in the world if you are a creative type who likes to draw. Let's see. With me today is Bill Morse. Bill, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Bill Morse. I'm a freelance illustrator and cartoonist working in Seattle, Washington, and in my spare time, I do a webcomic called Rhapsodies.
Well, Bill, since it's just the two of us, why don't you show the sketches that you did over the weekend?
Sketches?
Don't you normally sketch on the weekends? Or did you not go to any place this weekend?
I was
a zoo or anything?
It was raining, and I was having I had errands. It was complicated because it was because I had a event in the evening. I didn't bother with having my bicycle, so it meant a lot of my side routes were taken away from me. So I spent the morning house cleaning and then walked to the Seattle Center where my regular drawing event is. And then
is that Dune, or what's your darn?
That is the indie gamers support group, which in theory it's where a lot of these tech gamer types of just about every facet of the game industry go to get support and have get advice. In practice, it's a nice place that is not your office to work for 5 hours, and for whatever reasons, probably because I dedicate such a chunk of my Saturday mornings to house cleaning, it is a great way to jumpstart my creative mind in a location that is not my own, and other people are working too.
Why don't you share a screen on what you're working on today?
Okay. I am currently working on in the home stretch of my comics, my annual Christmas epic. So this is I'm pretty much almost done except 3 strips. Unfortunately, one of those strips is a Sunday strip, which takes forever, and so I generally try and make sure that they don't take up too much of my time by spreading it out. And so right now I'm trying to finish the line art for the rest before quitting time. So anyway, this is I just mapped out the frames and basic idea here, and then I done quite a bit of the pen and ink before we started up here, and I'm going to be spending the next 10 minutes or so cut and pasting that in, and then also drawing a lot from scratch here.
Now, I'm having to reboot my monitor. I'm hoping it doesn't mess up our casting. No, it looks like I'm okay.
Okay, good. And let's see, another thing this morning, I redid all of my time-lapse videos over the weekend.
Did you switch off of screen share?
Yes, I did. Let's see. The time lapse I've been experimenting with. I can go back on. So essentially when the finished one of these Sunday strips is going to look something like this one here, which I was pretty happy how it came out.
Yeah, I saw this, and I thought it looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's few lighting. I'm not completely. I worry that the panel in the first. I worry that the first panel might be a little too cool, but otherwise, I'm very happy with it.
The only thing that threw me off a little bit
Yes.
was Blossom's right eye. Because it doesn't have an eyebrow over the top of it, it looks almost like a little target.
Oh, yeah, I can see how you can see that, and I can probably fix that later.
Yeah, but I thought it worked just fine. The overall colors were pretty good.
Good. The other mistake I noticed I made is that I didn't color Bert's, the koala bear's pants cuff there, hence why one is dark navy blue and the other is a light blue.
Also, the kid's entire leg looks black. Is the shoe a darker color, or is the shoe black, or was
Yeah,
it just a stocking? Because
it was supposed to be black pants or black stockings or something like that. Should I go with a lighter, should I go with a dark blue instead, do you think?
I think so, and I'd also make her foot smaller because it looks like she's wearing if it was a shoe, I could understand it, but her foot looks really big.
Mm.
But maybe that's just me. But I would. The only reason I would do it as I just don't see any reason to do it as black. There's so much black happening here that it's tossing everything into the background. Which your background's very dark and gray, and it's nighttime anyway. So I can understand why you have the guy wearing that particular shirt. It's the band's T-shirt, but like the kid on the right, the cuffs to his pajamas, they've got black cuffs on those, and I'm that didn't make any sense to me why you made that choice. It just black.
Oh, that's embarrassing. I mean, I have to be saying that's how I had the wardrobe for the entire couple of week or so, and I confess that when switching to color, it didn't even occur to me.
So, but that's the only thing I really noticed. I like how the snowflakes are almost like magical pixie dust. So, were those things that you lifted, or what? Do you have a brush for snowflakes? Or
this is a very cool pattern brush that you can get on Clip Studio.
That's nice.
You have to be a little careful about it, because if you have the brush at the wrong size, they'll run too large, but otherwise I find them very effective.
Well, if you'll stop sharing screen, I'll share with mine and let people know what I'm working on.
Okay.
So I'm working on a poster for it's going to be a movie poster for a special screening of The Shining. And this is, oops, lost it. Going to be one of the elements. There's going to be like a skull motif. And this typewriter is going to be the teeth of the skull. And here's Danny on his big wheel. I am pretty happy how that came out. I want to draw all the little small elements with this kind of black and white style. And now I need to trace trace out the faces for Jack and Wendy, but I don't want to show the my source material for that. So
Right.
I'm going to stop screen sharing.
Ah, right.
And hopefully I'm going to do it as quickly as possible. Because I found that making quick judgment calls and not worrying about things and not fussing with it is often the best way to go about it.
Mm-hmm. So was that hand drawn or?
No, it wasn't. I used the blob tool inside Illustrator.
Oh, because I thought it was vector except for the space bar.
Yeah, so it is vector. And the blob tool is a wonderful tool. It allows you to be very free form. Do you use the blob tool at all?
A little bit. I'm trying to get after getting some fairly good lectures from it from our mutual friend Stowe, who keeps saying he's going to be here, and another cartoonist I know. I've been making an effort to do some of it. I mean, for example, I did the logo on that full finished comic Sunday strip on with the blob tool.
By here, you mean the Cartoonist Northwest meetings?
I'm sorry, for who?
Oh, you're talking about Stowe showing up here at the Epic Sketch Time.
That's correct. Though, admittedly, the talk that he gave about it was at Epic Sketch Time.
For a moment, I thought you were referring to Cartoonist Northwest. For those of you who happen to live in either Tacoma or Seattle, I'm going to give you a rundown of some of the events that are happening. Freelance Fandango is a group of freelancers in Tacoma. They meet the first Wednesday of every month at 11 o'clock at the Red Elm Cafe on Martin Luther King Boulevard. And I highly recommend that you come to the event and meet the creative types who it's a social hour for us to sit around and convince because we don't really get out and do much with each other. It's not really a high work session. It's more of a, sharing tips and tactics and that type of thing. But I always enjoy going to it. And next week is going to be our gift exchange. And you're supposed to be bringing a gift you've created, whether that be a poem, a bit of writing, a bit of artwork. And and if you're in Tacoma or this area, I suggest that you sign up for the Tacoma Art Listserv, which is a community listserv that lets you know of all the events happening of all the art groups throughout the region, at least in the South Sound region. Bill, why don't you tell us about some of the stuff that's happening in the North Sound region?
Okay, well, the big one that I'm obligated to press is Cartoonist Northwest, which is a de facto organization that's for the betterment of all cartoonists and creative and people who work in cartoonists, illustrators, animators, business, greeting card makers and whatnot for the entire Northwest, though in reality it's mostly just Puget Sound. And so anyway, we meet every third Saturday, 5:30, and for that, and we have our annual, and this one, which is this Saturday, is our annual Christmas party, where we have a white elephant gift exchange, where you don't have to actually make it, but something cheap to give somebody is appreciated, and it makes for a rather interesting competition of who gets what.
Now, it's actually going to be held at a residence this year, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's going to be at the abode of Roberta Gregory, the creator of Bitchy Bitch. And she always, she has a great spot up in First Hill. And with any luck, it'll work out really well, and we'll have a lot of fun. The other event, group that I can plug, which is tomorrow, is the Dune Indie Comic event at Cafe Racer here in the University District on the tag end of Roosevelt Avenue, Roosevelt Way. And that one is everybody puts down $5, does a single page of comic art or an illustration, and that $5 gets you printed in the zine. Like one of these things.
Oh, why don't you hold that up closer to the camera?
This is probably not one of the better ones. Here's a better, like so.
And you've been in a number of those, haven't you, Bill?
Yeah, I've been mostly doing it been going to almost all of them, though it's weird. For some reasons I do not understand, third Tuesday is something where everybody schedules something. And so technically I have a choice between Dune, a Photoshop users group, a FaceTime users group, and one of the indie gamers groups.
So that FaceTime users group, tell us about that.
It's essentially for everybody who uses, I'm sorry, not FaceTime, WordPress users group. So essentially it technically is, this particular one is, it used to be the general users group. Now it's mostly for people who have actual questions that they need solved. Like, how am I getting the white screen of death this time? And actually the WordPress community in Seattle is very extensive and has lots and lots of support for everybody. I mean, I use WordPress for both my portfolio page and my comic strip. So regrettably, a lot of these users groups tend to be a little too high end for my purposes, but I frequently find that going to a lot of these talks, even if nothing of it sticks, it takes away the mystique of WordPress being this scary application with a killer learning curve. And even though you may not be a master of it, you're not going to break it every time you poke.
Now, I wish Tacoma had one. The closest one I've been able to locate is one in Gig Harbor, which, for those of you who are watching from abroad, Washington State has a large body of water that comes down inside of its inlet. And there is I'll draw a map to expedite my So this is just the west coast of Washington. Actually, no. Down here this is the Columbia River. And up here, this is Canada. There's a variety of islands in here called the San Juan Islands. Some of them are in US territory, and large ones like British Columbia are in Canadian territory. I would say that Seattle is right about here in relationship to things, and that Olympia, the capital, is located down here. Tacoma is located about here. And if you come to this wonderful region, you'll come to SeaTac Airport, which is called SeaTac because it is halfway between Seattle and halfway to Tacoma. Interstate 5 runs through the state like this. And Gig Harbor happens to be over on this side of the peninsula. But thankfully, there happens to be not one, but 2 bridges that cross over this span. And this is called the Tacoma Narrows because actually, aside from this very bad drawing, there's a very tight gap where the peninsula comes very close to the mainland. This is where some of you might be familiar with a bridge called Galloping Gertie that fell down. Anyway, so it's still a bit of a hassle to, it's not too much. I mean, it's about a 30-minute drive to go from where I live in Tacoma over to Gig Harbor. But it's enough of a drive that I just don't want to make it. Meanwhile, I have friends who live up in this region who come all the way down to Tacoma to attend events. And that's really nice of them. Anyway, I'm going to stop.
I mean, I've been tempted, but it's not the get to Tacoma part; it's the get back.
Oh yeah, because you don't have a car, so you have to rely on others for those late night returns if you don't want to do Uber.
Yeah, I've just finally started using Uber semi regularly. I do not want to know what the price tag Uber would charge from Tacoma to Seattle.
Oh, how have you been finding Uber?
My 1-2 times are very good. One was having to get to the airport very early when I was in Charlotte. The other time was a East Coast, a East Side emergency where I had a bit of a foobar with getting off on the wrong stop on this Blender users group I wanted to check out. And so it was a case of where it's in Kirkland, and I'm somewhere next to the 520, and I'm partially, and the only way to get there in time was a taxi, Uber, or whatnot, because there wasn't a bus to get there in time. Oh, speaking.
I should explain for those who don't understand the geography. I'm going to do a close-up of my map again. When Bill refers to the east side, there happens to be, whoops. Am I sharing appropriately?
Just a second. Your calendar's up.
My calendar. Oh, hang on. That's
as it gets confusing in Washington, at least in King County parlance, there are, if you're at Washington parlance, if you're living in King County, there are two east sides. One is the east side of the lake, the other side is the east side of the state.
so. Here is a really simplified icon of Washington State, and we got the what are referred to as the Cascade Mountain Range. We also have the Olympic Mountain Range based off the Olympic Peninsula. So east side often refers to eastern Washington, but in this situation, this is Puget Sound. This is Seattle. And where Microsoft is located is in Bellevue.
Well, Redmond actually, but everybody would.
Oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
you're right. It was in Redmond. There's Redmond.
But Bellevue's the biggest city in
Yeah.
this.
We also have, let's see, besides Redmond, there's also Bellevue, and where are some other cities over in this? Kirkland.
Woodinville. Those are the four big ones.
Now, beforehand, I mentioned that interstate goes north and south, and then we have another interstate called Interstate 90, and it goes across a body of water referred to as Lake Washington. There's actually an inlet that goes over to the Puget Sound, and it's controlled by the Ballard Docks. So we often refer to east and west side in regards to Lake Washington, with Seattle being on the west side and Redmond being on the east side. And there happens to be two bridges that goes over to Redmond. There's another short one that has a toll. Is that the 520 bridge?
That's the 520 bridge, the big one that's the one that you were showing, even though Redmond's not as close to it, is the 99.
Right. No, that's not 99. That's I-90.
Oh, I-90, right. 99 is Aurora.
99 is a highway that goes parallel.
Right.
Yeah.
Boy, I've been here for 20 freaking years. You'd think I'd remember these things.
And that little dot there is Mercer Island.
Also known as Poverty Rock.
It is not called Poverty Rock. You have to have some good money to live on Mercer Island.
Yes, it's called ironic nicknames.
Oh. But yeah, I used to live in Bellevue at one time, and you would have to dress up to go to the mall there. It was a fairly fancy place. Anyway, again, you couldn't tell that I used to be heavily involved with cartography based on these rudimentary drawings.
And on the subject of the Blender's user group, I have something else to show off with.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
How I've recently been making an effort to learn a Blender, and after 3 weeks of playing with it, my learning curve is coming along nicely.
I don't recognize this number. I'll just let it go to mail. So, I have different ringtones for different things, and that ringtone was for some cartoonist and unknown phone numbers.
So anyway, as I said, I've been making an effort to learn Blender. And the main reason is because model for the intent to model backgrounds, but I've also been playing around with the sculpting things. And so this is my second attempt at in-depth sculpting. And compared to the thing I made the last time, this one is coming along nicely. I mean, don't worry, I'm fully aware of all the things that are wrong with it. I was having the most trouble getting the flesh around the eyeballs, and a lot of the problems I've been having with the tools is probably because there are way, way, way too many subdivisions in the area around the eyes, and I'll probably have to simplify them down a little bit if I want to be able to tweak them at all. But compared to what I've done in the past, I am very excited about this one.
Now, when you did the ears, did you just do one ear and then, or I'm kind of curious, did you split the face to?
Oh yeah, let me show you. It has this automatic symmetry by default, which of course is, come on you.
And does it give you like a base skull that you can start with and mold onto, or?
I'm sure there's a base skull that I could find. Normally it gives you a base sphere where you have to do some major things to make it look like a head. Here we.
I'm going to have to mute Bill and take this call.
Okay. But yeah, I was trying to. Yeah, but as Mark was pointing out, it's set for the symmetry is automatic, and it's not demonstrating it very well right now. But if I had less pixels here, it would be very obvious that what I'm doing here would be changing there as well.
That's pretty impressive, Bill.
Yeah, it's sort of like I have to sit down to work on it hard to really get stuff to stick, but otherwise it's a very good first step. I mean, the last thing I was sharing with people, I'm going, yes, it's a mess, but this is the first time the tools have been doing remotely what I want them to do. And considering what I plan to use it for is relatively simple. Well, simple compared to sculpting images like that.
You know, Bill, I think it's just going to be you and me today.
Oh, bummer.
Thank you, Bill.
Oh, I mean, sort of, I I was saying that I enjoy it when there's more people at these.
Thank you, Bill. No, I understand completely. Bill, what movies did you watch over the weekend?
I watched, I watched The Great Rupert last night, and tonight I am watching The Lemon Drop Kid.
And what did you think of The Great Rupert?
Pretty much by the numbers, but sweet. And the Puppetoon animation for the squirrel was actually remarkably convincing. And Jimmy Durante's always fun.
It has been so long since I've seen that. I may have to give it another viewing. I think the last time I saw Jimmy Durante on screen was when I was rewatching It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, and he's only on there for a few minutes.
Same here. I mean, it's bizarre. Generally, the only I grew up only being aware of Jimmy Durante by the number of Hanna-Barbera characters who were blatant parodies of him.
Okay, this came out pretty well, I think. I'm going to share it.
Oh, yes.
So I'm pretty happy with that quick rendition. Might think I'll go in and clean up, make some of it, if anything, I'll make some of it simpler. By the way, if you're watching this tool right here underneath the brush tool, that is the blob tool. And when you draw with it, you can get a thick to thin. If you're using a touch sensitive screen like I am, I'm using a Wacom Cintiq screen. Oh, wait a minute, Cintiq is a tablet. This is just
Cintiq is a Cintiq is a screen. Intuos is a tablet.
Thank you. So I'm using. I thank you so much, Bill. I got my right terminology. But you can pre-set up how much the pressure you get, and then it automatically just links the plot points together. And this is how our friend James Stowe draws all the time.
Are you using your brand new iPad Pro as a tablet yet?
Yes, I am. A matter of fact, let me pull that out. And
because that was one of the big selling points for me. I haven't gotten it yet.
okay, let me pull it up. For my birthday, my wife got me this case. This is the Pro case, which is very nice. It's about $20. What I like about it is it holds the pen, the Mac, what are they called, these iPad pens or Mac pencils? It holds it away from the pad. When it's attached to the pad, it also, it's got a slight magnetic grip, and I like that a lot because that turns on and off the tablet automatically. Oh. When you're charging on the new
versions, the pen just magnetically clips to here, right to the edge. But that also means that it's charging at the same time. And I don't like to, I like to fully drain my batteries down on things. So far I'm liking this case. It's got these ridges in the back, which you can grip on, but mainly serve as a way for you to take your tablet and use it like a TV in a variety of angles. This case is what Stan Brown uses. The only drawback to this case is when you go to move, when you're in an application, you go to get out, you kind of have to fight with the edge down here to do so. And I've been using Procreate to work on the various
Nice.
this is the alien monster from The Hidden. And I'm going to just show you some fun with the auto draw, or pardon me, you can time lapse your drawings. So this is how I went about coloring. I imported the pen and ink as a PNG file, and then I'm doing each color on a separate layer, and that way I can go into the control of the layer and change its hue and value just by doing some sliders. You can also on each layer control its transparency, and so there's a bit, the reason I drew that funny little bit of drool with the background was so that I could see how well the transparency was coming off. And there I am adding the various tones. And you can see there's some sticky slime with some transparent elements going on it. Now some of those colors weren't registering because it's a monitor being shown to a monitor. But I've been working on these more because I sit in the TV room with my wife and draw on them during commercials or when it's a particularly boring show that she likes, that I could, really care less sometimes. Railroad Journeys in Japan. Sometimes I'm convinced that I've seen that episode before, but she hasn't. So. Anyway, I do like it quite a bit. Do you have any questions for me about it?
I'm sure I'll have.
I can't hear you, Bill.
Unfortunately, these are things.
Still can't hear you.
What?
Did I do something?
I can hear you just fine.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, hang on, Bill. I don't have my headphones on. Everybody else could hear you, but I couldn't hear you because I forgot my stuff. Oh, man. I'm having more and more senior moments like that. Sir, we have been online for 51 minutes. We are running long, so I'm going to call this meeting good. I want to thank Bill Morse for joining me on Epic Sketch Time. If you look in the doobly-doo down below, you'll find links to our various websites. Come to Epic Sketch Time and attend 3 times, and you too can have a link in the doobly-doo. Bill, best of luck on your White Elephant gift exchange this Saturday. Say hi to the Cartoonist Northwest gang for me.
I certainly will.
Bye, everybody.